good day, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Peace Clinic. We are glad that you could join us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming, and we are looking forward to having you as a part of this conversation. So, before we get into the topic for today, my name is Janet Michael, the anchor for today's Peace Clinic, and I also have here with me Ambassador Joshua Tahumi. Welcome,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Jenna, thank you. It's a privilege to be in the meeting today as well.
Interesting. Yes, it's actually a privilege. So for today, we are looking at a topic: truth permissions, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict. So if you're joining us, like I said earlier, we would love to have you in this conversation. So do well to reach into the comment section, tell us the name, where you're connecting from, and we would love to have you in this conversation. Tell us what you think about truth commissions, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict. And you can do well to put down your questions as we look into this topic together. So once again, thank you for joining us, Ambassador Joshua Tahule.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome, sir. So we are looking at this topic: truth commission, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict. And I believe you agree with me that you know that's we're talking about post-conflict. After conflict, there's actually a need for accountability. There are a group of people or some persons that might have been hurt during the process of the conflict. There might be some people that have gone through a series of trauma or traumatizing situations during a conflict, and there's a need for truth seeking and accountability after the conflict might have ended. So we would love to know what you think about this topic: truth commission, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict.
Thank you very much, Janet. Yes, like you say, it's a post-conflict event, something that takes place after war, after conflict, after a sad incident or a situation that you need to, give account of what happened. Again, a point now. So, in every serious society where there's conflict, there should be, and after in a war, somebody should be committed to making sure that someone is accountable to for what happened. As in situation whereby there are issues of violations of human rights, situation whereby there are even destruction in terms of property or confiscation of properties or destruction of properties, things like that. Sometimes people may be held accountable for what has happened, okay, for their role in the conflict. Okay, so it's in every serious society. After a serious, maybe most especially civil war, there should be an institution that is responsible to make sure that people are accountable for what took place during the civil war. So it's a very important topic, and I must tell you for sure that in most societies that are stricken by conflict, they need this kind of a thing. So I think it's a very important topic for us to look into.
Yes, truly, it is an important topic. And just like you mentioned, there's actually need for a truth seeking. There's actually need for accountability. People need to be held responsible for certain actions that are taking place, and that is where I think the truth commissions come into place as a body who is responsible, for going out of the way to make sure that people are held accountable and that justice is brought into place at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So to our viewers, can see those who are joining us. Please, we need to keep the number rising as we want to have you in this conversation. And to have you in this conversation, we've actually done something extra. We'll be projecting some PowerPoint presentation so that we could have you see what we are talking about, and we could have you join us in this conversation. So I'll be projecting it right away so we could follow through. So once again, the topic is truth commissions, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict. So we're talking about a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that is the TRC, and we say that it is a body established to investigate and address human rights violence war crime, and other forms of violence or oppression. The goal of the TRC, that is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, is to promote national unity, healing, and reconciliation. And we provided some ways in which this reconciliation can be achieved. And the first part of it is uncovering the truth behind past events. And I think Ambassador Joshua, we should talk about this. Sometimes people don't really know the truth behind a particular event that has occurred. And when you look into this event, when you go deep down, you get to discover, some things that were not in the open, or some reasons, or some individuals who were masterminds, who were, active participants of carrying out such conflict or igniting such conflict.
Mm. So actually, so well, and that's the reason why we need to have professionals in the area of conflict investigative journalism. You understand?
Yeah.
Those that are experts to go out there to on a fact finding mission to go and find out what happened. Because when you go there, you hear stories. Sometimes we sit far and criticize until you get closer that you know that something has happened. Okay, and what has happened? We cannot just go by assumption. It's going to be a thorough investigation. Someone has to take it up upon himself or herself that I must find out what actually transpired and what damage has been done. Because sometimes we assume certain things and then we take actions which are not, at the end of the day, we didn't see the impact of the actions. So, what we need to do is that the fact is that let's go on and uncover the truth. What is hidden behind? What do we need to know? And how do we go about it? Do you understand? So when you go out in the field, you discover the truth. When you go and talk to people who are directly affected, because in conflict, people are affected, women are affected, children are affected. Do you understand? So when you go there, you hear their stories. And when you hear their stories, you know the truth. You know where it started. You know what happened. You understand? So when you hear those kind of stories, then you should be able to discover certain truth that can guide your decision.
Interesting. That was interesting. There's a need for truth uncovering about past events. So the second here we have providing a platform for victims to share their experience. Every event of conflict, there's actually a victim. It could be an individual, a group of people, a tribe, even a nation. So there's a need for platforms to be created for victims to share their experience.
Yes, very important. Those affected in the conflict or in a sad situation should be called so that we can hear from them. We need to hear from them. Why are we hearing from them? We want to know what they experienced during the process. Okay, during the course of the war, what was your experience? Because some of them are being raped, some of them manhandled. You understand? Their fundamental human rights violated. You understand? In the course of the war, so we need to hear from them so that we know what happens to them directly. We don't need someone to just tell us stories. We don't need to hear even government tell us stories on behalf of the people. Let the people by themselves speak out and tell us what actually happened to them in the course of the war. How they were affected. We have been hearing stories where people say that accused, even peacekeepers, of rapes, of sexual abuses. I get a point now. All these things are there. So we need to go out there and give people opportunity to aid their experience, express their pains, their feelings, what they suffered in the process. And by so doing, it's also bringing healing in the process.
Yeah,
When you allow
truly.
people to express their pains, it's an avenue for healing. So I think it's a good way to follow when we have such a platform.
I actually love the fact that you mentioned healing.
Mm.
Sometimes when people speak out, it's easy for them to heal. It helps
Yes.
with their healing process.
Yeah.
And it also helps to create reconciliation. It is very easy to forgive
Yeah.
when you have expressed yourself, you've
Mm.
expressed your heart,
Mm.
and people are aware of what you have gone through.
Yeah.
So that actually helps with the healing and reconciliation
Exactly.
process. The third we have here is holding perpetrators accountable.
Mm. Very important point. That's a very important point.
Yeah, truly. They are perpetrators. Even if we don't actually know them, and I think that is where the truth seeking coming,
Yes.
the investigation coming. These
Yeah.
perpetrators are to be held accountable for their action. We live in a system where people think they can go away with anything.
Yes. Yes.
They can do anything, and
Yes.
probably because they have the money, they have the wealth, they
Yeah.
can easily cover up. And individuals just do all manner of things
Yeah.
with the mind that, oh, they're actually above the law and they
Mm.
cannot be held accountable for certain things.
Mm.
And for reconciliation to take place, for national unity, they need for those individuals, those groups, those organizations to realize that they are also under the law,
Mm.
and they can be held responsible for their action, regardless of their position, regardless of their financial status, regardless of the position they hold in
Mm.
the country
Mm.
and the
So
likes.
that is very important because it needs people. It's very important people should get accountable, should be responsible for their action and inactions. You understand? Because most of the times, people, some of the conflicts that happen is a result of selfish interest. Somebody's selfish interest cause community crisis, countrywide crisis. You understand?
Yeah.
Even regional crisis, simply because I need something and I must get it by all means. And so I devise all means to make sure that I get it. And as a result of that, it result into, communal crisis, countrywide crisis, religious crisis, any form of crisis at all. You understand? Because of one person's interest or because of a group of people's interest. And so when a commission like this is set up, the essence is to go out there and make sure that these kind of people are held accountable. It doesn't matter their class status in society. It doesn't matter how connected they are.
They are.
They must be brought to account to what they have done, what they have caused. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because what they have caused is more than their interest in the first place that they were looking for. So it's very important that people must be held accountable for their action and inaction. Even when you are in government, you refuse to take action when you are supposed to take action that will help people or to solve a particular problem. You ignore it and you look the other way. You should also be held accountable as well. Whether you were in government or you are not, or you are just an individual person, or maybe during your time as a governor or as a chairman or as a senator or as whatever, you were responsible for a particular event that claimed the lives of people, cause people to suffer unnecessary. You should be held accountable. You understand?
Yeah.
It's very, very important. So people must be held accountable for their action and inaction.
Truly, individuals, people, organizations, whosoever is responsible for for a particular action or inaction, like you mentioned, should be held accountable. Nobody is above the law, and everybody should be treated as equals. So next, we're looking at recommending reparations and reforms, and we'll go to the last one: promoting forgiveness and reconciliation. So, a community where there has been a conflict or a crisis, and nobody is saying anything, a community where there is no forgiveness, there's no reconciliation, there is no way that community can experience development or growth.
Yes, of course, people must learn to reconcile. You were once friends, you were once a group of people that live in harmony and unity. Yes, despite the crisis, you must come together to reconcile. You understand? So, and a system that refuses to reconcile will suffer, retrogression. There will be no true progress. There will be no true development whatsoever because it's when you have unity and unity of purpose that it can direct your focus for development. And then there should be element of reparation rather, because reparation is very good because people must be compensated for what they suffered. Do you understand?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
people who suffered and there's no any form of compensation whatsoever. Do you understand? It's not good. I can give you a situation whereby I think during the Obasanjo administration, and I think the military went to Zaki in Benue State, and and they kill people. They just got a community of people and they began to kill simply because some officers were affected. I think the Benue State government took the federal government to court, and I think at the end of the day, the people were compensated. Okay, in billions. You understand? So that's how it should be. When you make people suffer unnecessarily because of whatever reason, you should be held accountable and should be able to pay for it, compensate the people who suffered for that thing. And so the Nigerian government paid the Benue government for those people that suffered during the Obasanjo administration. So that's how it should be. That's how.
Really, that is how it should be. People should be compensated whenever they have offended. This would lead to promoting forgiveness and reconciliation.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has been established in various countries such as the South Africa, Rwanda, and Canada to address historical injustice and promote healing and reconciliation. There's also the historical injustice, and it's a situation whereby there are historical injustice. That means the conflict has not actually come to an end. Because, and I think that is actually what is happening in
No,
the
actually, sometimes
situation.
the conflict comes to an end, like the issue of the party in South Africa. You understand? It came to an end. You understand? But there was need for the black and the white in South Africa to be reconciled.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why the Truth Commission was established. So that even the blacks will come and express their feelings. The white will also come and express their feelings. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so they unanimously agreed and provided a platform for people to air their plea. And they did it. At the end of the day, they were able to reconcile themselves and embrace each other. Today, South Africa is one of the most developed countries in Africa because of what they did. Rwanda, the same thing. After the civil war in Rwanda, where one ethnic group was almost, cleared.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they established a truth-seeking commission. They go on fact-finding, and then they came out with something, and people were given the platform to express themselves, and then healing process took place. And today, Rwanda is also fast developing. You understand?
Yeah.
Fast growing economically. When they are playing football, you see some teams wearing a jersey that carries visit Rwanda. When did you see any place say visit Nigeria? You understand? So it is very, very important that in a country whereby there have been civil war, this kind of body is needed for
And
national
it's
reconciliation.
important.
Yes, for
Plays a
national
role.
reconciliation. What General Gawon did was a pathway to this, but it wasn't a complete one. So he talked about the issue of reconstruction. You understand? And that was the focus. But the true reconciliation did not happen because there was no fact finding, nothing whatsoever was provided. So we were able to settle with NYSA. Any other thing has gone and forgotten for good. And then we stand as we are. We are not, we'll talk about that one as we progress anyway.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador Joshua Tahule. Once again, to our viewers, we would love to have you in this conversation. As you can see so far, the conversation has been quite interesting. So we would love to hear from you what you think about truth seeking and accountability after conflict. Once again, we are looking at Truth Commission. And earlier I spoke about historical injustice, and I think we actually need, that's why justice comes into play, and that is how important the truth commissions are. Because without them, we just have societies who are moving, societies with people that have been hurt and offended, and nobody is being held accountable. Nobody has been healed, and this will lead to underdevelopment.
Yes, again, when we're talking about historical injustice, we should understand. You see, what happened in South Africa is that Nelson Mandela was sent to prison. Many of them were sent to prison unnecessarily because they are fighting for their rights. You understand?
Yeah.
So they were sent to prison. So at the end of the day, it was just need for people who were offended to come and express how they felt. You understand? You send me to prison to go and suffer. That was an injustice done to me. Do you understand? Simply because I voiced out the wrong you were doing. Do you understand? And we experience this on daily basis. And then when you go to some places, like in our nation here, at some point they say we should remove history from our books, remove history from our schools. So how can we know our history? How can we know historical injustice that have happened if we remove history? What can we tell our children? You understand? So that's why history is very, very important. And thank God that they return history back to our school because we need to tell our stories
Yes,
so
we
that
need
we
to
know
tell
our
our
stories
stories.
and then develop better ways and strategies to solve our problems.
Yes, that is important. So next, we are looking at the core principles of the Truth Reconciliation Commission. And the first, we have a list of them. First, we have truth seeking, we have accountability, we have reparations, we have reconciliation, we have healing. Lastly, we have healing. By confronting the past and acknowledging the suffering of victims, the TRC, the Truth Reconciliation Commissions, aim to create a foundation for a more just and equitable society. So, truth and accountability are essential components of Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And now we are going to break this down so we can have a better understanding of what exactly we're talking about. When we talk about truth seeking, we are talking about investigating and uncovering the facts about past human rights violations. We're talking about war crimes or other forms of violence or oppression. It aims to establish an accurate record of events, acknowledging the suffering and experiences of victims and their families. And Ambassador Joshua, I think this is actually very important. Just like we said earlier, we actually spoke extensively on truth seeking, and there's a need for investigation. There's a need for us to have people, individuals who will take it upon themselves to make sure that a certain injustice that has been done is uncovered, to uncover the facts about past human rights violation. Because human rights violation is something that is common in our day. We see people are being violated. Talk about the situations of rape, exploitation, genocide, and the rest of them, even war crimes and every other form of violence, including oppression. So there's a need for accurate record of these events to be taken, and those that have suffered, those who are victims of this event, should be acknowledged and then compensated.
Yes, truth seeking is very, very important because, like I said before, we have to know the truth. Even the Bible says, when you know the truth, it sets you free.
It's set.
So when you refuse to know the truth, you will still be living in darkness. You will be living on assumptions, which are not correct. And so the direction you'll be going is also a disaster because you don't know where you're going because there's no truth. You understand? But when you know the truth, what do you do with the truth? Okay, at the end of the day, we agreed in our nation, for instance, in Nigeria, that yes, it's true that Abiola won the election and Abiola should have been the president of this country at some point. You understand? But Abiola was killed. This is a fact. Okay? So Abiola died in prison. So at the end of the day, who is held accountable for this?
I think that
There
is
was nobody responsible for this.
yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
There were people that were responsible.
And that is a great injustice.
Yes. Well, are they held accountable? Okay, today we have announced June 12th as a Democracy Day in Nigeria, not May 29th. So, what has been done in terms of compensation to the family of Abiola? It's just because we announced June 12th and then we celebrate what? Why don't we, okay, if we are a true nation, why don't we say, okay, since Abiola was supposed to be the president of this country, but he was denied the opportunity, why can't we call his son to come and contest so that we compensate him for his father's this thing, death? I get a point now. These are the things that we should do. These are if we follow this kind of path, then there will be peace. There will be true healing. But we are not doing that. We just rename We don't just change our Democratic Day and say June 12 to celebrate the sacrifice of Biafra. For what? For what? To whose benefit? For politicians to go and gather and celebrate and to spray out there and move here and there. And so, what is the true compensation to the family that was directly affected and other people that were affected alongside Abiola? Because I knew he has supporters that were following him. So, what is their own benefit? What is the form of compensation that was given to them? That's just one. Okay, let's talk about the issue of let's talk about the issue of the Biafra War. Okay, yes. What led to the Biafra War? You understand? What form of fact finding have we done? And what have we done with the facts that we have discovered? You understand? So somehow there are so many issues that are unattended to, so far as this country is concerned. And the truth is like it's not like we don't know the truth. We know the truth, but we are refusing to use the truth. We are refusing to acknowledge the truth and work on the basis of the truth we know. And that's why we are still where we are today. You understand? So there are issues like that. There are issues like that. And when you discover the truth, in most cases, even in terms of corruption, for instance, now, you know that corruption also have negative impact on the lives of people. People died. Okay, think about hospitals, where we refuse to equip our hospitals, and people, Nigerians, died in hospitals because they did not get the facility to be treated. Okay, and they died. Is the minister of health held accountable? Is the MD of the hospital held accountable? Nobody has been held accountable. Do you understand? Nobody. But because they refuse to provide necessary facilities that are needed for human treatment in this country, most of our people are going out abroad to go and treat themselves. Why are they doing that? Because people are not being held accountable. When we are holding people accountable, when we know the truth and say, okay, it's because this particular minister refused to do his work. That's why people died. That's why we are not having functional hospitals. Let them be held accountable. The billions of budget that we put into the health sector, where is the money? You understand? Then we begin to see something changing.
Yeah, truly. There's actually need for individuals, institutions responsible for certain actions and omission that has led to human rights violation or any form of harm to individuals, to a group of people to be held accountable. And there's also need for us to ensure that justice is being provided and a closure for these victims and their families are also provided. So next, in the context of the TRC, truth seeking and accountability are interconnected. So some people might be wondering, oh, what is the connection between the truth seeking and accountability? So yeah, it is. Truth seeking provides the evidence and information necessary to hold perpetrators accountable. So before you can actually go to an individual and holding accountable for a particular and the unfortunate thing in this situation is that in situation of our nation and in other parts of the world, just like you mentioned, corruption. Sometimes these truths are being uncovered, but people use their resources, their wealth, their position to still cover it up. So sometimes, these people, the Truth Reconciliation Commission that go out of their way to uncover this truth, sometimes that's actually one of the frustration. Because okay, when you go out of your way, you spend resources, time, to uncover this truth, it ends up, resulting to nothing. People are not held accountable, just like you said in the case of the former Abiola that was supposed to be the president of the nation, but unfortunately he died in prison. So people
So there
need.
are actually, let me just say again, when we talk about the connection between truth seeking and accountability. There is what we call monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. You understand? That is when we're talking about in the development sector, for instance, now. So, what's the essence of monitoring? Monitoring is to gather information on the progress of the project so that you can know the status of the project. And when you get the information, that helps you to, take some steps to correct what has gone wrong. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then that is you take responsibility. You take account of what has gone wrong. That is the monitoring provides you with the information necessary for you to carry out the evaluation and then take account of what has happened. Do you understand? So it's the same thing applied to truth seeking. Truth seeking gives you the evidence, the information necessary for you to take the decision, to know what has happened. You understand? And when you have the information, then you can be able to take an informed decision. Do you understand? So it's very important that we first and foremost go on fact finding. That's why even policing in our system as a country is wrong. When you report a case to the police, for instance, that there is an incident, for them to go on investigation and find out what has happened before they go on arrest, they first arrest before they start the investigation. That is reverse. You don't do kind of reverse. So you should just investigate first, okay, and then when you discover the truth, before you go on arrest, that's where developed nations behave. You understand? So you don't just go ahead and arrest first before going. Oh, you don't do things like that. You understand? A recent case happened in our system here. There was the issue of a fake result. Somebody forged a result using one of the universities in Benin Republic. So instead of federal government to say, okay, let's go on investigation, let's know the particular university is affected. It's just suspended all the programs from the university from Benin Republic. How can all the university now become fake universities, issue fake certificates? It doesn't work like that. Go on investigation, find out the university affected, and then maybe you suspend that university. You understand? Not all the universities. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So what we need to do is that when there's an issue, first and foremost, let's go and find out the facts. What are the facts? When we have the facts, we cannot take an informed decision. Otherwise, our decision will always be wrong. You understand? Then when we talk about the issue of NSAS, NSAS is one of the operations people were suffering violence, police brutality, and here and there. Yes, and there was so high level of protest in our nation at that point in time. You understand? And even in the course of the protest, people were still killed, and government still denied. You understand? So we cannot be,
nobody was held
and nobody has
accountable
been held
for the
accountable for
lives
the
that
killing of people that die at Lake Target. Nobody. Have we held anybody accountable? We have issues. So when we are refusing to hold people accountable for their action, although we thank God, SARS was, expanded, but still there are people that are not yet being compensated. They have some families, their people died, some disability because of police brutality. Nobody has compensated them. You understand? Yes, you discover the truth. But instead of following the path that is way recognized, you say, okay, you disband a particular unit of this. Yes. Now, what about the victims? What happens to the victims? Do you understand? No form of compensation whatsoever. No form of recognition whatsoever. And then maybe if you want to do a few selected people attended to, and then we publicize it, everybody has been attended to, and other people are just like that. You understand? So these things are there. And until we begin to work the truth out and act on the truth, otherwise we are still creating more problems for ourselves as a society.
Yes, yes, yeah. And actually heard of quite an unfortunate story that happened in our nation where there was actually a case of robbery and the police actually went on a raid and they were arresting, it's common in this part of uh, police just go out and start arresting people.
Mm.
And there was a particular young man that was arrested, and
Mm.
he actually had nothing to do with what had happened, the robbery
Yes.
and
Yes.
everything. And he was kept in custody, and unfortunately, he died in
Mm.
custody.
Can
And there
imagine.
was a cover up until
Mm.
his mother came to find out what had happened, and then she was, she cried out and she was seeking for help. And these are the levels of, injustice that we are seeing in this nation, and nobody is not accountable.
Yes.
If you bring us such a situation now, they'll say, "Oh, it's
Mm.
just an unfortunate incident that happened, and let everybody move on."
Mm.
What about the victims? And it could even be that that could be the only son of the mother. It
Exactly.
could be the only son of the family, and it's
Yes.
just unfortunate how this type of stories are heard almost on a daily
On
basis
a
in
daily
this part
basis.
of the world,
Yes.
and nobody is held accountable. People are just there,
Mm.
things are just happening, and the system is just getting bad day by day.
Exactly. And this thing, individual injustices, group, community, and statewide injustice is happening. You understand? In the civil service, injustice. In politics, injustice. In public administration, injustice. So what are we saying? So even at we have, like in our system, we have a collection of nationalities that make up Nigeria. Do you understand? We have a
Yes.
collection of nationalities that make up Nigeria. And I can tell you for free that all of them are standing apart. All these nationalities are not blending. Do you understand? They are standing apart because there's one form of injustice or another that one community or one nationality is crying. Do you understand? Is it the Niger Delta? Is it the Igbo? Is it the Benue people? Is it the Plateau people? Is it the Northerners? Is it the Southerners, the Westerners? Everybody is crying. So what are we saying? We are not blending.
Yes.
We
And
are
there
not
can be no
blending.
progression.
And there cannot be progress at all. Where are we? It's like we're just going in a cycle, moving in a cycle, like the Indian elephant. You know, the Indian elephant, they tied it, and even when they lose it, it remains in that place. It was
Yeah.
not turning after a while. They just remain there because the mentality has changed.
Yeah.
Do you
Yes.
understand? So that's why we are moving in a cycle. We are not going anywhere. We cover one line and cover another one and cover another one and cover another one, and then we are going like that. So that so much that even the bodies that should bring transparency and accountability, they are also not working. The judicial system is not working. The electoral bodies is the worst. Give to the highest bidder and go your own way. That is it. So all of if we continue like this, then we're not ready to move forward as a people yet. Until we come together and say we can't continue like this. Yes, there are past governments that make such efforts, most especially during the good luck Jonathan administration. They call for national conference. What has happened with that, with the resolution of the national conference? Okay, we have been clamoring for restructuring. What is the essence of restructuring? Because there is structural injustice in Nigeria. Do you understand? So people are clamoring for restructuring. Why are they clamoring for that? Because there is need. Because we have systems that were designed to correct these imbalances, like the Federal Character Commission, for instance. It was designed to correct some of the injustice that happen in terms of allocation of opportunities that are available in the country. But it is not functioning as supposed to. The intention with which it was established, it is not functioning according to that intention. So it's a problem in itself. You understand? So there are structural imbalances. So if we refuse to work on this as a group of people, we are anywhere, we're just turning around in the cycle. We'll pass the button and give to the northerner, pass and give to the southerner, pass and give to the northerner, and then you continue like that, and then we're not making any progress. The only progress we make is that the button has been passed from the north to the south, and then from south to the north. That's all. You understand? And then a privileged group of people enjoy, and then they go. They don't care about any other person. You're on your own. If you cannot struggle and get the opportunity, you're on your own. You understand? So this kind of injustice, and but there are some in situations whereby maybe little instances that we can see a kind of justice that have been played out by people. That is, people took it upon themselves to bring out. It was like the election, like the last election, 2020 election, the senatorial election in Enugu, where a particular candidate of the Labour Party was killed. And then they future in the younger brother of that one that was killed. You understand? And that one won the election again.
Wow.
Do you understand? So that is the people felt that this kind of day you want to do anything you want to do, just you want to find your way into power. People say no, we will not allow this kind of injustice to play out. Give somebody a future, the younger brother of that one, you go ahead and win the election. You understand? So people, we are some communities actually have a way of dealing with some of these issues. Yes, they say their own truth and work with it. In such communities, you can see progress. But where we don't want to tell the truth and act on the truth, it becomes a problem.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Joshua Tafi. So next, we are looking at the various mechanisms that are used to promote truth-seeking and accountability. And these are, we have the public hearing and testimony, we have investigations and documentation, we have reparations and restitution, we have prosecutions and legal action, we have institutional reform and policy changes. By combining truth seeking and accountability, the TRC aims to provide justice, healing, and closure for victims and their family, while also promoting national reconciliation and preventing future human rights violation. So we've just looked at the various techniques that can be used to promote truth seeking and accountability.
Yes, actually, there are. Maybe we should go back to that slide. Yes, there are platforms within which we can, give people the platform to come and express themselves. And normally, when policies are being formulated, they pass through what we call the public hearing. Actually, most of the time people don't go there because of the way the system is. People feel that, well, even if we go, at the end of the day, they will do whatever they want to do. They will not hear us. Do you understand? Yes. That's why you can see, because of the way the system behaves, it discourages its people from participating in some of these things. Because if you look at the 2023 general election, we talk about electronic voting, system of voting. At the end of the day, after the election, they say, no, what we mean was different. It wasn't total electronic election. Do you understand? So, but these are the things that people move for. They went for public hearing, electronic voting, they contributed, make their effort to make sure that this bill was passed and this bill was signed into law. At the end of the day, they still manipulated it. They still come up with a different version of it and did whatever they want to do. But public hearing is one of the avenues where it gives people opportunity to come and say what they want and how they want a particular policy or a program that is targeted to benefit people, how it should be. Do you understand? Because that is like you are giving the people opportunity to come and express how they want it to be. And then you are intending to follow the will of the people. That's the essence of public hearing. You understand? Like I say, the issue of national conference that Jonathan organized. The people were selected to come and discuss Nigeria as a country, okay? And they sat and looked at Nigeria thoroughly and then came up with some solutions that will solve the problems. You understand? At the end of the day, it was not implemented. Jonathan himself did not implement it. He had opportunity to implement it. He did not do it. Why? Because of maybe he was seeking second term. Okay, and so he felt that if he touched that in, many people will be offended. So he will not win the election. At the end of the day, election he will not win again. Taking a point now. So what are we saying? So such opportunities are there to give people opportunity to do something. And then we talk about investigation and documentation. Yes, as an institution, we can go on a kind of um, research, go and find out. This is research that you go and interview people where there are conflicts, find out what has happened. You can carry out documentation and also And it's one of the our goal. It's one of our mandate as a body. You understand? Yes, we can go to a particular community where there are issues. We go and carry out a fact-finding mission based on our research, we carry out documentation, and then we can send such documentation to government institution for them to act upon if they react, if at all. You understand? That's why sometimes even the institution that we have, maybe private organizations, because private organizations can do something, but they don't have the final decision. Sometimes they have to send it to government, and when they get to the government will not do it. So sometimes even the private institution now, they are relaxed. They don't want to put their effort into something that at the end of the day it will not yield any result, no impact. Do you understand? So such kind of situation. And then reparation, that's the issue of compensation. Okay. Restitution, that's the returning of land, properties where unnecessary confiscation or seizure was taking place. You return it to the people who are owners, rightful owners. And then we'll talk about prosecution. Yes, that is where the police and the legal institution comes in. But sometimes you take cases to the courts. One of the bias system we have, we discover that at the end of the day, we have also corrupt elements there. They sit as judges, as lawyers, do you understand? They pass judgment anyhow, give interpretation on a particular law anyhow, just to suit the situation. Sometimes they forget the merit of the case and go on technicality. How can you forget the merit of the case and focus on technicality and then you pass judgment? Do you understand? So these are the issues. So it's a problem. And then institutional reforms, policy changes. Yes, we have been having. Even we have to even have more reforms to strengthen our institutions so that corruption will be eradicated in our system. You understand? But one of the need even reform seriously is the Nigerian police system. It needs serious reform. We have conducted several reforms, but they still need a reform to strengthen that institution because there is so much that is going on in the police that is not correct. It's not good to the image of the institution. Because when you travel, we used to travel, you have been seeing it. Okay. If you go to the south, it's as if 1 kilometer you see a police checkpoint. One, yes, there are issues there, but then those that are on the road, what are they looking for? They collect money. Is that why you are sent to go and stand on the road? No. You understand? So it also needs reforms. Yes, there are some of them that are good. They do their jobs clean. Most of them are not correct. The mentality is not correct. They felt as if this thing is an opportunity to come and enrich. But most of them, when they retire, don't say anything out of it because what they did, why they were serving was not correct. You understand? So it's very important that we need reforms and reorientation of the system. So a system is say we know that my job as a police officer is to safeguard the people, is to ensure the safety of the community, not to oppress and exploit the community. You understand? Yes. So, but we have forgotten the aspect of protection and safeguarding. Now it's the issue of exploitation. Ah, the politicians are exploiting. So, me, this is my opportunity. I must also exploit. So it's not correct. It's not correct. So these are the various ways and mechanism we can, bring the issue of reconciliation or truth commission to come to play. You understand? Yes.
So once again to our viewers, we can see you. We would love to have you comment on this. Once again, we're talking about the topic truth commissions, truth seeking, and accountability after conflict. So you can do well to send in your questions and your contribution. So we'll be moving forward. Okay, now we're talking about how to apply. Okay, I think I missed the slide. Okay, we are looking at the definition and distinction between reparation, reconciliation, and healing in the context of truth and reconciliation commissions. So I'll just quickly go through them as we proceed. So when we talk about reparations, we're talking about material compensation or restitution for past injustices or harm aimed at restoring dignity and providing redress to victims. This can include financial compensation, return of land or property, or symbolic gesture like apologies or commemorations. We've actually mentioned some of that. There's also reconciliation, the process of rebuilding relationship and promoting national unity. This encourages mutual understanding, forgiveness, and cooperation between former enemies or conflicting groups, aim to create a shared vision for a more just and equitable society. And earlier we spoke about this using the example of the South African, the apartheid and everything they experienced. Next is healing. This is the emotional and psychological restoration for victims and their communities. For victims and their communities, this involves acknowledging and working through trauma, working through grief and pain, and this includes counseling, traditional healing practices, or community based initiatives. So these concepts are interconnected and they serve distinct purpose, and we'll be looking at that right away. Preparation focuses on material restoration. Reconciliation aims for relational repair, while healing prioritizes emotional and psychological recovery. And I think most times people don't actually pay attention to that healing, because when somebody has experienced trauma and people just see it like it's normal. Oh, you have been hurt. Just forgive and forget and move on. Just go on with your life. And people don't actually sit down to pay attention that there is need for this emotional and psychological healing and recovery. People need to recover from past experiences, because if they don't recover, take for example a situation of a rape situation, there's no way somebody can actually move through that if you don't go through a process of healing. Or for example, the woman whose son was killed. There's no way she can move through that without going through a period of healing. And most times people just give up on life. That's why we have cases of suicide. They feel like, oh, there's nothing more to live for, there's nothing more to fight for, and then the situation just keeps getting bad by
Actually,
the day.
healing is one of the important aspects of reconciliation. Okay, because people need to be healed. Let me give an instance. You have given some of the instances, but let me give the instance. For instance, now you are a child, you're a young boy, and maybe you watch a situation whereby maybe your parents were kidnapped, and in the process they were killed, and you grow up with that thinking that your parents were killed in the course of kidnapping. How, as a young child, are you going to deal with that situation without being a bad person? The only way is to heal. If that particular child or young boy is not healed, I tell you for sure that he will grow up to be a kidnapper
Yeah,
or
that's true.
a high ranking killer, so that you will, find justice for his parents. Do you understand? That's the reason why we have people doing all manner of things. Some of them are doing that because of the experience they have. Yes, the trauma they went through. Some of them, because they experienced a situation, decided that, well, this is what I experienced, so it means that this is what is good to do. So it means I will do it. Do you understand? And then become criminals. Become cultists. Maybe you are affected by cults, so you too find a group and join. You understand? So that you can also find justice for yourself. So these things are there. But the only tool that can reduce the impact of that experience is work with healing. Someone must go through the process of healing to recover from negative experiences. Once we do not go through that process, we live with that mentality, and it's a disaster for the society.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua Tahuli. So, to apply this concept and bring support to victims of political and ethnic violence, there is need to establish a Truth Reconciliation Commission or similar body to investigate and document human rights violations. There's need to provide reparations to victims and their families, such as financial compensation or symbolic gesture. There's a need to foster reconciliation through dialogue, education, and community programs that promote understanding and empathy. There's a need to support healing processes through counseling, traditional healing practice, or community-based initiatives. By addressing the physical, emotional, and relational toll of violence, this measure can help victims and communities move forward and build a more just and peaceful society.
So we say by we want to apply this concept that we have discussed it,
Yeah.
we need to establish a truth
Reconciliation
reconciliation
Commission.
commission. Now the question is that do Nigeria need a truth reconciliation commission?
Yes. Personally, I think we need it.
So this is the hallmark of the whole of this discussion, because the essence why we bring this kind of topic is to see the essence why certain things should be done, okay, and certain things should be avoided. Now we have discussed how this concept come into play and what it means, and then we look at it, the analysis. We try to even apply with Nigerian situation, and we mention some situations: civil war, South injustice, denial, here and there, land confiscation, land grabbing. You understand? All of these issues are there. Now, the question is, Nigeria needs a truth reconciliation commission. Yes. Because we are a federation. That's a collection of nationalities that make a federation. Okay? And that's why we also have what we call state government. All these states were created just to make sure that every part of the country have a sense of belonging. You understand? So now, but after creating the state, are they united? That is the question. Are these states united? Even in the particular state, there's problem. You understand? Even in okay, for instance, in Benue State, where we have the Idomans and the Thieves, the Idomans are still asking for a ballot state. Why are they asking for a state in a state where they are already there? You understand? Why? Because they sense element of injustice here and there. So they felt that there's a need for them to be on their own. You understand? Yes. Why is it that the Igbos are saying Biafra, Biafra, even after the experience of the Civil War? Because there is no reconciliation whatsoever after the Civil War. Have they said, oh, my brothers, come. Despite the Civil War, we are still a united people. You understand? Let's forget about negative experience. Let's forge ahead as a people. We can still give you opportunity to be president of this country so that you can have the sense of belonging. You understand? When the last time PDP wanted to join, just zone presidential election position to Southeast, some people say no, 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 no. It should be left open. It should be left open. You understand? It was left open. They not nicely grab it. Then party scattered. Because injustice played out. So as a nation, we need true reconciliation. Otherwise, we are not going anywhere. We must have that true healing process. People must come and aid their feelings. Let them come and express how it pains them, where they have been hurt. You understand? When they express it and then a board take it upon itself, whether established by government, it takes everything upon itself and make sure that the, the things people express, what the concerns of the people, as they express it, let's implement it one after the other. If we can have this done, then we are on our way for real progress as a people. The agitation in the southeast will die a natural death. Nobody will talk about Biafra again. Give them just one opportunity, let them govern this country. I'm telling you for free that there will be no agitation for Biafra anymore. It's because we are saying they cannot govern. That's why there's still the agitation. Because if you're saying we cannot govern, and we are also a good number of people that command respect in the nation, and you say we cannot govern, then we don't have a portion. So we can go our own way. You understand? When the Yoruba people feel that they are being facing just here and there, they begin to go to do a nation. We have to go our own way. You understand? When they do better, the people in the north central of Nigeria feel that we are not being treated fair. eh, let's take our own way. You understand? I don't know whether Arua also have called for the Arua of the country. You understand? But these are the things. So you can see these are divisions that are even, strengthening our division in a division. Because we say Biafra, we say Oduduwa, we say Middle Belt, we say Ariwa. All of these things are emphasizing our division. They are emphasizing our disunity. You understand? That's what all those things emphasize. Because at the end of the day, we set ourselves up for competition. It's like it's the subject of the south and the north. You understand? So that is how the situation is. So as a nation, we need a true reconciliation commission that will reconcile all the elements of the nation that has crying. They are crying, they're saying it is not way, it is not way, it is not way. And either our own way will give us an opportunity so that we have a sense of belonging. You understand? So those that are responsible and concerned should do something before we go into another civil war, because Nigeria cannot survive another civil war. You understand? If it happens that if the thing becomes so choked, and then people, you can see the issue of ends as protest said, it gives you an idea of what, if care is not taken, one day will happen in this nation. And if we have, and the way it is going, the way politicians are going about governing this country, one day we have such an experience, a very serious protest that will result into another civil war. And nobody, and then at the end of the day, I don't know whether people will be held accountable for what is happening. I don't know whether people will be held accountable. So people should be held accountable for their action and inaction. You are in government, you know the right thing to do, you refuse to do it. You should be held accountable when something bad happens.
Thank you very much. Ambassadors. We have actually come to an end of today's episode of the Peace Clinic. Today we spoke about truth commission, truth seeking, and reconciliation after conflict. So you can still do well to drop your questions, your contribution, and we would actually do well to respond to them, even if we are not live. So the Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. So to know more about us, you can visit us on www.igpcm.com.ng, or you contact us via an email at igpcminfo@gmail.com, or call us on +2340703358730, or you can also reach out to us on +23441569400. Do well to follow us on all our social media handles. We are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn as Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. You can also find us on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter as IGPCM. So do well to follow us for every update. So we would see you tomorrow by the same time, by 4 p.m. on GMT plus one, for another episode of the Peace Clinic. Thank you once again for joining us, and thank you, Ambassador Joshua.
Thank you, Janet. It was an opportunity having this great time together.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure having